Hey, Mario Rodriguez here, and you're watching the review Sanctum, where everything and anything may be reviewed. And today we're talking about Captain Marvel, the last stop before watching Avengers Endgame. And if everything works out perfectly, I'm going to see it with my brother, Johnny Rodriguez, next month, and what can be better than that? We got to see Iron Man together when this whole thing started, and we're going to get to see Endgame together when the whole thing comes to a close. Now, of course, the Marvel Cinematic Universe is going to continue on. We do have Spider-Man Far From Home, or Far Away From Home, whatever it's called. I think it's Far From Home. And I believe Black Panther has a greenlit sequel, and they're working on Guardians of the Galaxy Part 3. So the Marvel Cinematic Universe will continue, but the overall story with the Avengers, the Infinity Stones, Thanos, all that comes to an end with Endgame. And again, it'll be perfect to watch it with my bro. Now, as for Captain Marvel, the movie's about a woman named Burst who is a member of the Kree, but that's all she knows. All she remembers is her 6 years with the Kree, and she doesn't know anything about her past or her childhood or anything. She can shoot out these photon blasts from her hands. It looks like she's the only one who can do that, and they're going to train her to use like those powers to the best of her ability, to be like the best version of herself, while also threatening her that they can take away her powers and whatever. And another thing about her, she goes to see something called the Supreme Intelligence, and this thing has like no actual form that we can comprehend. It takes the shape of whatever you, I guess, someone you recognize, respect, admire, fear, whatever. And in her case, it's the shape of this scientist woman that she has no idea who this is. She doesn't recognize her. She doesn't know who she is or anything. It doesn't make any sense to her. But that's the form that the Supreme Intelligence took for her. And during the movie, they go on a mission. Burst gets captured by the Skrulls. The Skrulls look into her mind, looking through her memories, and you see that she's actually from Earth. You see her childhood, and you see her like in bars and boot camp, being a member of the Air Force and stuff like that. Stuff that she doesn't like know or anything. She thinks these are fake memories, but no, those are her real memories. And they're looking in particular for that scientist woman that Supreme Intelligence took the form of. They're looking for her because she apparently developed light speed technology, and if they get their hands on it, they could rule the whole galaxy. They could be unstoppable, and that's their job. They want to get like that information out of Carol's memories, and or Burst at this point in the movie, right? And Burst gets away, and she goes to Earth. You know, she crash lands there by mistake. And, of course, she lands in the Blockbuster Video, a little too on the nose there, but she lands in the Blockbuster Video, and around the corner there was a Radio Shack and all that stuff. And her job is to somehow get back home and to also stop the Skrulls from like getting their hands on this light speed technology. She has to go find this scientist before, you know, they get to her first and all that stuff. And she also runs into Nick Fury and Agent Coulson, which I'm surprised that they're actually still members of S.H.I.E.L.D. this early in their story. I was thinking they were probably, I don't know, just regular FBI or something before they became S.H.I.E.L.D. But no, they're already members of S.H.I.E.L.D. I guess at this point S.H.I.E.L.D. just stops regular spies, or I don't know if Hydra was still around, I don't know, but they just stopped normal bad guys before all the superhero stuff started for them. But Nick Fury encounters her. Of course, he doesn't believe her story about aliens and shape-shifting Skrulls and stuff like that until he drives off with Coulson while the real Coulson is still at Blockbuster Video. He's like, hey, you guys gonna pick me up or something? You know, so the Coulson in the car with him is fake. They fight it out, and once he kills him, he turns back into his normal, like, green alien Skrull form, and now Nick Fury's like, damn, you know, so now he believes it, you know, and all that stuff. So he teams up with Burst, and he gotta, like, you know, they gotta stop the Skrulls from getting their hands on that technology, while Burst is also trying to piece together her history because, like, she's from this planet, but she has no memory of it at all. And that's, like, the most I can say, because the movie does take a turn, like, everything I just described right now changes throughout halfway through the movie. It's like a whole different plot, a whole different thing, and I really don't want to spoil too much about it. Of course, the things that are obvious is that, of course, Burst is going to eventually remember that she's Carol Danvers, and she's going to, you know, use her full powers. She's only restricted to using her hands, but later she'll be able to light her whole body up and fly and everything, so she'll become the Captain Marvel that we recognize from the comics and stuff like that. But, and there's also a friend of hers, like her best friend from before this whole incident happened. So she does go to see her, regain her memories and stuff like that. There's cool scenes, you know, there's the cool stuff. But I don't want to go too much into the story. There'll be some potential spoilers in the review, but I don't want to spoil the overall twist of it, you know? So, there are three things that we liked about the movie a lot with my friends. We kind of discussed it over dinner after the movie. And, yeah, I'll try to tell you about those three things. The first thing was, we liked the fact that the movie took place in the 90s, but it did beat you over the head with the fact that it took place in the 90s. And it wasn't like mean-spirited either. There were no jokes of people like, I don't know, there wasn't any jokes about someone dressed like super overly 90s or something, and, you know, Carol rolling her eyes, and us as an audience, we're also supposed to roll our eyes and be like, oh my god, it's so lame, that was cool back then. There were no jokes about, oh my god, that was cool back then, or anything like that, and there weren't any like super overly gnarly 90s dudes to the extreme, man. Like, we didn't have any of that either, so that's kind of cool. I mean, yeah, we had Blockbuster Video, we had the Radio Shack, we saw Game Boys, the Street Fighter 2 arcade. I like how Carol was playing Street Fighter 2 in her flashbacks, that's awesome. There was like 9 Inch Nails, like rock and roll posters in the background, or I'm not really sure 9 Inch Nails is rock and roll, don't hate me. But I did like their music though. Of course, obvious 90s music soundtrack and the big ass phones and stuff like that. So all that technology. So it's basically like, it was a backdrop for the movie. The movie took place in the 90s, and they used the technology that they could at that particular time for it to make sense, but it was just like a backdrop. It didn't like make fun of it, but it took me back to the past. I love the 90s. I miss the 90s, but, you know. So, the second thing was, it was cool seeing Nick Fury act more normal. I guess when he was younger, he was more, I don't know, more jokey, more sarcastic. He actually smiled back then, you know, and laughing. A lot of the movie, he was kind of patronizing Burst and just kind of going along with it, going on with the story. Oh, so this is normal for you space people to do, huh? And that kind of stuff. And like the best parts of the movie for me were all the back and forth between Burst and Fury. They both kind of bounced off each other pretty well. It was good camaraderie. It was like a buddy cop movie of sorts. Yeah, kind of, sort of, because I mean, she's kind of, sort of, not really, but sort of a space cop, and of course Nick Fury's kind of a cop or some of some sort. So it's kind of like it was kind of sort of a buddy cop movie in a way. So yeah, I like their interactions, but seeing Nick Fury joke around, seeing him sing and stuff like that, because yes, he will sing and everything. It was just funny. It was just funny before he became, you know, super serious and super hard ass like how he is now. But it's kind of funny, you know. I do wish that Coulson was in the movie a lot more, though. Coulson was there in the beginning. There was a scene where Fury called the S.H.I.E.L.D. guys on her, but they decided, you know, that she's a good guy, so he'll help her escape. And Coulson actually catches them, but Coulson just kind of has a feeling in his gut, I guess, that Fury's onto something, I should trust him, so he pretends that he didn't see them and lets him go and stuff like that. And Coulson appears near the end, but I kind of wish he was in the movie a lot more. I don't know, I guess it would have ruined the dynamic to have two normal people alongside Burst and her alien stuff. I guess it worked better with just those two, but I don't know. I'd like to see more of Coulson, but it was so nice seeing him back before all the stuff that happened with the Avengers. And, so the third thing, of course, and you guys all heard about this, the cat. Goose the cat was everyone's favorite. It's just a cute cat that just stows away for the ride. I really don't understand why exactly the cat got involved or why the cat like joined them, but he was there, and Fury was like, you know, oh, look at the cute little cat, oh, the cute little kitten. And again, it's kind of interesting seeing Fury act that way, you know, like the adorable cat. Like, we never see him act like that. And again, I don't want to spoil too much. The cat is like an alien cat, because the Skrulls are afraid of the cat, and they call it a furkin or something like that. But I won't spoil the reason why they're afraid of the cat, but it's just funny. The thing about the cat is, some parts you could tell it's CGI because he just moves a little cartoonish, but it's an alien cat, so I guess it gets a free pass to act a little like beyond what a normal animal will act like. And I do know that Goose has a huge fan base. I do not want to get bombarded by the Goose fan base, but there are Goose Funko Pops, so get them, you know. And, yeah, what can I say? The movie was good. Yeah, a lot of action, a lot of suspense. It was a lot of, like, identity stuff, like who am I, what's real, what's not, who can I trust. Like I said, there was a part where Fury himself turned on her. So even she couldn't trust Fury, you know. So it was kind of an interesting movie to go in that dynamic about her life, her past, how it all ties together, what happened, how did she end up being a member of the Kree, and what are the Skrulls really after, what are the Kree doing, you know. Of course, you get to see Ronan the Accuser make a couple of scenes here and there, so it's pretty awesome. It's just a good movie overall. I really did enjoy it. Now, there are some minor nitpicks here and there, minor plot holes here and there. I guess a minor nitpick was, again, the cat. The cat, there are sometimes you can still tell it's CGI. But, you know, what can I do? Number one, it's an alien cat, so that excuses it. And number two, it is kind of difficult to, you know, get a real cat to do whatever you want to do on command. So you can kind of excuse that, but, you know. Number two, I don't know, the Tesseract was in the movie. Slight spoilers, I won't explain how, whatever. But the Tesseract was in the movie, and it's implied that this is the Tesseract that Nick Fury has, and of course, when, you know, Avengers came out, that's the one that Loki stole and all that stuff, but it's still kind of weird to me. It doesn't make any sense in a way, because the Tesseract was around during the Red Skull era in the Captain America movie back in the 40s, or whenever that movie took place, and, yeah, it doesn't make any sense, because in the Avengers movie, it was implied that whenever they found Captain America, they also found the Tesseract and were studying it. So it doesn't make sense that Nick Fury already had the Tesseract in the 90s when the Red Skull had it back in the 40s, unless they want to say that, I don't know. Maybe they got it from, I don't know. They could have explained it better. They could have said we found it on the plane or something, and I don't know, that was weird. That's kind of weird. And the Tesseract, of course, is now part of the Infinity Gauntlet with Thanos, but that part was, I don't know. Like, the Tesseract didn't need to be in the movie, to be honest. It could have been something else. It could have been another one of the stones if they wanted to put the stone in there. I don't know, that part kind of got me asking too many questions, you know. And the last part was, of course, we all know this, kind of a spoiler, but we all know this. When y'all saw Avengers Infinity War, and there was the post-trailer credit scene with Nick Fury pulling out this souped-up version of a beeper and pressing it to call Captain Marvel, like we all knew that during the Captain Marvel movie, somewhere during the movie, we're going to see an explanation of when Carol gave him that device. So the question is, if Nick Fury had this device on him the whole time, why did he not use it during the Avengers? Now, the other movies had other, like, threats and stuff that the Avengers took care of, but the first Avengers movie was an all-out alien invasion, and it was like Fury was so determined to get the Avengers to work together, and it was like a desperate attempt. It's like, if he can't get these guys to work together and stop the alien invasion, like, that's it. We're doomed. We're screwed. Like, that's the end, man. And nowhere did they think of using the beeper device. Now, I understand the real world reasons because they didn't think of that back then. And when I really think about it, I believe that, if you correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that when the first Avengers movie came out, they were still doing the Avengers versus the X-Men storyline in the comics, and during that time period, Captain Marvel was still Miss Marvel. She was not Captain Marvel yet, so obviously it's impossible to foreshadow a Captain Marvel movie that on ahead. And that's another thing, I'm confused. I really don't know how Miss Marvel became Captain Marvel and why Kamala Khan, with her new powers, why she took the name of Miss Marvel and what Carol thinks of her using her name. I don't know. I don't know how that goes in the comics. I don't understand and whatever. But yeah, and of course, for people that don't know, I might be obligated to say so, but the original Miss Marvel is the reason why Rogue, at least for a time, I don't think she does that anymore nowadays because comics keep going, but back then, Rogue took the powers of Captain Marvel. She held on to her a little too long, and that's why Rogue can fly and have super strength, and that's why that power never goes away. It became a part of her for a super long time. I think by now she lost the power, and Miss Marvel went into a coma. Obviously she got better because now she's Captain Marvel. But anyways, back to the movie. One thing I do want to say is that the movies the Marvel movies are never afraid to kind of poke fun of themselves and kind of make jokes and in-jokes and stuff like that. So I'd not be surprised that if Fury comes back, if they bring him back or whatever, you know, from being dusted in Avengers, because of course, obviously Endgame is going to be some movie to try to stop Thanos and try to reverse the snap. Because obviously, what else can you do? You gotta reverse the snap somehow. But if they do bring back Nick Fury, I will not be surprised if someone does ask him, so if you had this thing, why didn't you call her in the Battle of New York or something like that? And there'll be some kind of smart-ass excuse or something like that. So, yeah, I want to see that. I'm kind of curious. Like, for now, it's a plot hole, but we'll see what they do. Because the movies are full of a lot of smart-ass characters, smart-ass remarks and everything. So I won't be surprised if they do have some kind of smart-ass answer for why Nick Fury didn't use the beeper back in the first Avengers. So anyways, guys, what can I say? The movie's very good. One last thing I do want to say in the movie's defense, I do know there's a lot of behind-the-scenes criticism and stuff that I don't really want to get to. I don't really talk too much about the real world, whatever. I like to talk about like the movie as the movie itself and not let real world biases get to me or whatever, because I'm just here to watch a movie. I'm here to watch a movie as part of the cinematic universe and nothing else. And it was a good movie. I enjoyed it, and I'm a fan of Captain Marvel in the comics, so, you know. But one thing I do gotta say, I do know that people were, I guess, saying about the movie having a lot of girl power stuff. And yeah, during the movie, there's a lot of messages. A lot of times in her life, when Carol, as a kid or whatever, was trying to, I guess, use a bike or something, and they were like, oh, you can't do that, you're a girl. Or her getting made fun of at boot camp, oh, you can't do that, you're a girl. And I guess in the Air Force, you can't do that, you're a girl, and all that stuff. And she has to, you know, kind of overcome it and show off that she can do it and all that stuff. But you gotta remember, if the movie takes place in the 90s, that means her childhood was in the 70s, 80s, or something like that. And at that time, I mean, in that time, women did have a lot to prove. You know, now it's a bit more different. Now, you know, women do more things. I mean, you know, there'll always still be people saying, you can't do that, you're a girl. But it's not like a big deal anymore, because nowadays, like, girls prove that yes, they can. Yes, they can. And I mean, it's different. But way back in the day, in the 80s and 70s or so, whenever she was a kid, yeah, that was the atmosphere. We can't change that. That's how it was. A lot of stuff was, you know, you can't do that, you're a girl, and whatever. And so it makes sense that they show that in the movie, because that was real. That was the mindset. You can't change that. That was the mindset. And of course, Carol, and I assume so many other women back then, proved them wrong. Nowadays, like I said, people may still think that way, but a lot more women are doing a lot more things. Obviously, nowadays, it's not a big deal to have a woman in the Air Force or in boot camp or, I guess, playing Street Fighter or doing whatever else. I mean, now women do more than before, but, you know, that's what I'm saying. I can't really bash the movie based on that, because that was the real mindset back then. You know, that's what it was. When I was a kid, I didn't care, but lots of people did the whole, you can't do that, you're a girl. But it was still weird, because I still knew girls that played with Ninja Turtles and G.I. Joes and stuff. So, I don't know, but that was the mindset. That was accurate. So I won't really call that girl power stuff, because that really was the mindset back then. That's how it was back in the 80s or something like that, you know? So anyways, guys, this is Mark Rodriguez here, and the movie, I did enjoy it. It was a pretty good movie. My favorite part of it all, if you ask me about Carol, I love her back and forth with Nick Fury. It was a weird intergalactic cop buddy movie in a certain sense. I want to call it that, you know? It's like, yeah, we got all these movies. We got like Captain America was a military type movie. Civil War was kind of like a spy thriller movie. Ant-Man was like a heist movie. Ant-Man and the Wasp was kind of like a movie about like the mission. We must succeed in the mission and stuff like that. And this movie, I want to call it like an intergalactic cop buddy movie, you know? So anyways, guys, Mark Rodriguez here. See you next time for Endgame. And yeah, that'll be awesome. I can't wait for that one. See you then.